Joining me now, Benjamin Crump, the attorney for the Martin family. Always good to see you, sir.
Glad to be here, Craig.
Do you have any intel about when this jury might come out?
No.
This verdict might come out?
No, you know, lawyers, we learned long ago, you don't try to predict what a jury is going to do. You just pray for justice.
What have you been telling the family at this point to prepare them for a verdict?
Well, as we've all said through this long journey for justice, Craig, you know, you pray that it's fair, you pray that it's transparent, and then you accept the rule of law. We're very confident. We've always had the faith that as long as they base their verdict on the evidence, they will hold the killer of their unarmed child accountable. And the more time passes, we see that as a good thing.
You mentioned transparency. You do think the process, by and large, has been transparent, right?
Yes, and I think not only have we watched here in Sanford, Florida, but the entire world has watched this process unfold, and that was very important, especially when we talk about once the verdict is delivered.
I want to talk to you really quickly before I play some sound from the closing yesterday and talk about the trial. There was an allegation made against you yesterday on another network, and the assertion was that a lot of this has been Crump's fault.
Craig,
well, first of all, what was the assertion?
I guess the assertion was that had I not gotten involved, then George Zimmerman never would have been arrested. As if I have the power of the state of Florida and the government to arrest somebody. I have none of that power. It was the people, Craig. It was the grassroots community. All the protesters, all the 2 million people that signed those petitions that said, we do not want to live in a country where an unarmed child simply walking home doing everything he legally had the right to do can be profiled, followed, and pursued by a neighborhood watch volunteer with a 9mm gun shot in the heart, and that person not be arrested. What a terrible message that sends to society.
I want to talk a little bit about the trial specifically. I'm going to play a piece of the prosecution's closing. Listen to it and let's talk about it on the other side. Here it is.
This isn't a complicated case. It's a common sense case. And it's not a case about self-defense. It's a case about self-denial. George Zimmerman.
Was it that simple? Was that assertion that simple?
No.
No?
No. You know, when you really think about it, we're focused on the case. We're focused on getting justice for Trayvon Martin. We're not focused on personal attacks of anybody. We tell everybody that, think about this reverse. If a 28-year-old African-American man would have got out his car and profiled and pursued an unarmed white teenager and shot him in the heart, nobody would say that person shouldn't be arrested. Why is it different when it's Trayvon Martin lying dead on the ground?
Let's move to this idea, this notion. And I want to play a clip here from the law enforcement news conference from yesterday, talking about preparations for post-verdict. This is what they said yesterday.
Okay.
You know what? I don't think we have that sound.
I'm familiar with it,
right.
Craig.
There's this idea here in Sanford that folks may take to the streets, that the protests may turn violent, maybe not just here in Florida, but all over the country as well. What say you to that?
Well, I know people are passionate and people are emotional about this matter because a lot of them think that Trayvon could have been their son or their daughter. But you have to remember, Craig, we had rallies all over the country. There were rallies where they had thousands of people. In fact, Reverend Sharpton from Politics Nation had helped coordinate a rally of over 30,000 people here in Sanford. In all those rallies, whether New York, D.C., Los Angeles, nowhere was there any act of violence, not one. The only person violent in this whole process was the killer of Trayvon Martin.
If that jury comes back and the verdict is not guilty, how do you proceed?
Well, I think people should do as Trayvon's family is going to conduct themselves. They have asked everybody that if they can accept the rule of law, and they have really the most involvement, the most that matters in this whole situation is them. Trayvon was their son, and if they can accept the rule of law, we ask that everybody else accept the rule of law. We have a right to assembly in our country. You have a right to peacefully protest, and we've always asked for peaceful justice.
Prosecution do it well? Did they handle it well?
I thought the prosecution brought it all together in the closing.
I mean, in the closing.
I really do. And you can't really think that your strategy is every other lawyer's strategy. Everybody have different styles.
It sounds like your strategy would have been different, though.
Oh, certainly. Every lawyer is different and stuff. But Bernie Delariande and John Guy, in their closing summations, they really brought it back to the heart of the matter, what this whole case is about, why everybody is watching this case. And that is because Trayvon was shot in the heart, and you got inside the heart of these two individuals that night. One, a child who was running scared from a stranger he didn't know, and one, a pursuer who said these a-holes aren't going to get away. Their words speak to their heart. And he asked the question, what would the verdict be had Trayvon Martin pursued and shot George Zimmerman?
Benjamin Crump, attorney for the Martin family. Always good to see you. Thank you for your time. We should note two things here. First of all, it is exceptionally hot here in Sanford, Florida, so they probably saw us wiping our brows. And we should also note that MSNBC has invited the defense team to join us, but they have told us that they are not doing any interviews until after the verdict.